I'm Turk Strawman at Theron Kurama. Thank you for selecting this video on, well, let's just pick a band, all right? Led Zeppelin. And nasty things that are said about them. And then on to something a little bit different, but related. A channel here on YouTube called Tone Freak Bass Experience. Before I get going, though, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for? Now's your chance. Grab it. Subscribe. That way you can also activate the notification bell feature and be apprised of my new uploads. Another thing you can do right now is share the joy of this channel with others. How? Give this video a thumb up right now, lest ye forget to do it later. All right. Led Zeppelin. What am I going to say about them? What do other people say about them? That's the important part. Well, if you're at all familiar with Led Zeppelin and the lore about the band, then you're probably familiar with the plethora of stuff said about the band, especially about the guitarist, Jimmy Page, how he sold his soul to the devil, how he is a Satanist, into black magic, the occult, and that all of this added up to the band's great success and to Jimmy Page's talent. What evidence is given? Well, Jimmy Page has said that he's most of his life been interested in magic, in the occult. What else? Well, Robert Plant wrote the words "Stairway to Heaven" just pretty much straight out. Well, they didn't even know where it was all coming from. Didn't even realize what he had there until it was done and he read it back to himself. People have said that it sounds like a case of automatic writing, which is the work of the devil. And interpretations of the lyrics point to all kinds of mythical things. And it all has to do with leading people down to hell. What else? Well, during some performances, Jimmy Page can be seen. For example, I forget what song it is. He uses a violin bow, a bow, horsehair bow on his guitar to make certain sounds. I forget which song it is. But during that, he'd make a sound and then point the bow over to the left. And another sound. Point it forward. Another sound. Point it to the right. Another sound. Point it behind. So that has been said to be kind of like a witchcraft thing. The four corners. The four elements. North, south, east, and west. The making of a circle. Summoning the devil. What else? The big one. Oh, wait, before the big one. Jimmy Page bought the castle that had been Aleister Crowley's. You know who Aleister Crowley was? He was once dubbed the wickedest man on earth. he grew up in a Plymouth Brethren family, which is kind of scary. I grew up in a Plymouth Brethren family. Apparently, Alistair rebelled. So did I. Alistair Crowley then became one of the most formidable and knowledgeable occultists, Satanists, you name it. Man known to history, perhaps. Wrote a lot of authoritative works on the subject. Encyclopedic. Jimmy Page bought his castle. He didn't live in it. Now the biggie. It's been talked about for years that I think it's especially the Stairway to Heaven song. You play it backwards and listen to the lyrics backwards, and you hear messages. Nasty stuff like follow the Zep. And other things that may be questionable depending on what you think you're looking for, how you're going to interpret things, how you're going to perceive them. Play it backwards, for goodness sakes, and you hear voices saying other things than what the lyrics are. And all of that out of a case of automatic writing? Whoa! Demons! Alright. My opinion? I find no evidence pointing to anything dark or occult or satanic or Luciferian going on with Led Zeppelin. So Jimmy Page bought the castle. Somebody had to buy it. A lot of wealthy people in Europe own castles. These castles have been around for a long time. They have a lot of history. Probably every castle in Europe has some dark history. Most likely. The Middle Ages were dark history. The feudal system in Europe, dark history. The Crusades, people going around conquering other people, bloodbaths, psychopaths, you name it, alchemists, dark history. So he bought the castle. So what? Jimmy Page has said, yeah, he's been interested in magic, you know, black and white, the occult, etc. Well, I've been interested in it most of my life, too. And if you are familiar with my channel, if you are a subscriber, you're interested in it as well. What about that pointing in the 4 directions with the horsehair bow? What about that? I don't think it tells much at all. I think that such rituals require a lot more than pointing in 4 different directions to get anything done. Sometimes when I've listened to Pink Floyd, for example, when they made that movie back in the 70s, Live at Pompeii, Pink Floyd at Pompeii, when they set up all their equipment in the ruins of the Roman Colosseum, where all the Christians were put to death by lions. Where lots of people were put to death for entertainment. Blood-drenched soil. They sat up there, nobody else around, and they played. A lot of the sounds, especially in Echoes and Saucer Full of Secrets, sounded to me like they were traveling beyond Earth, beyond this physical plane, alike. To travel forever. Foreign planes and foreign galaxies. If I were Jimmy Page, at those moments when he pointed in those 4 directions, and I was making sounds. I'd probably point in 4 different directions too, hoping that what I was playing right now would travel in all directions and never stop traveling. What about that automatic writing? Huh? I've played the bass most of my life. I have very rarely played in a conventional manner, except for when I've been in rock and roll bands. Most of my playing, though, has been by myself. And I do what I call sound architecture. I make sounds. I got pretty good at it over the decades. It was all improvised. All of it. I never remember the notes. So I rarely ever repeated anything I played. Where would it come from? I don't know. Just seemed to happen. Automatically. Was it coming from the devil? Is that what it was? I think not. I have written poetry that is absolutely beautiful. Proper literary form. Beautiful. Some of it pages long. Mostly love poems. One's called I Carry a Beacon. Another one's called Dreams in My Eyes. Some of it I worked for a long time. Others, I just wrote it. Just came out. Just wrote it. Automatic writing. Work of the devil. I think not. Inspiration. Backed by years of perspiration. Probably, yeah. And what about that playing Led Zeppelin backwards? And hearing things, phrases, words, sentences. Huh? Where'd that come from? Oh my God! Ha! Has to be demons. I mean, how do you get English language out of backwards English language? Huh? How does that happen? Did you know that anything, if I were to record, I carry a beacon and play it backwards, the same thing would happen. You take a presidential speech, play it backwards, same thing will happen. You take the lyrics to any song and play them backwards, same thing will happen. It's a figure of speech. It happens. Language is a potent thing. It's not unique to Stairway to Heaven. It happens all the time. You could play Donald Trump's, back when he ran for president, his campaign speeches backwards. Same thing would happen. You play the Gettysburg Address backwards, same thing will happen. Kind of funny, isn't it? When I started to play the bass, I lived in New York City. My friend who I moved there with played guitar. He was just getting started out. I was supposed to be the singer, but I couldn't sing for shit. Awful. So my friend said, why don't you play the bass? I said, I don't know how to play the bass. I don't have a bass. So we went uptown, Midtown, 48th Street, where all the music equipment stores are. Manning's, Music Stop, you name it. Tons of them. I bought an old bass, an old knockoff, cheap-ass bass, used bass for $40. A Univox. Nobody showed me anything. So I experimented with it. I wanted to see what she could do. I used every household implement I could get my hands on that thing, not just on the strings either. I'd bang it here and there, I'd do all kinds of shit with it. And I had bought an amplifier, a Sun amp. It was 250 watts, but it was a good amp. I bought it from a punk band called the Testers. And I bought a 15-inch speaker cabinet, a Serwin Vega, from Buddy Rich's bass player in Brooklyn. I'd crank that shit all the way up, man, in a little room. There'd be feedback like crazy. And my friend would do the same thing with his guitar. And we would just make all kinds of sounds. And we were getting pretty good at it together. In some of those sounds, when you listen back in the recordings, we recorded all. You can hear things that we didn't play. You can hear sounds, voices, stuff that we did not play. But it was there. It just happens. It happens. So all these accusations flying around about who sold the soul who's into black magic, who's casting spells, who's under a spell. I think most of it is religious bullshit. Dogma. If there's anything evil going on, it's those accusations. Now, yeah, there are bands who are satanic. And they're very straightforward about it. I'm not talking about those. Now, next subject, Tone Freak Bass Experience. It's a very lonely channel. It's not visited much at all. Handful of subscribers. Been on YouTube for a number of years. I don't know, 8 years or so. It's mine. Tone Freak Bass Experience. On that channel, you'll find examples of what I call sound architecture. It's all improvised by me. It's just me playing a bass, if you want to call it playing. My way. Just an air mic. Like I said, all improvised. It's a way that I communicate about things. Very deep things. In my opinion, the sounds, the sequences, the compositions, they are compositions. They have beginnings, they have middles, they have tension, they have release, they have climaxes, they have endings. I don't plan it out. I never planned it out. At each moment, I would always be asking myself, what does it want now? What's next? What follows? If I played something I didn't really mean to play, that would be a new direction that would go in then. Where would it come from? It seemed to me that it all came from deeper than myself. Always, and it came from just what logically follows, my thinking, and from somewhere deep within the cosmos. Through me, back out into the cosmos. I would always have mental images going on. And many times people who would be in my presence listening would get the same mental images out of it. It's not conventional playing. But all the pieces do tell a story. All the compositions do tell a story. Now my wife's sitting back here. Allie? Yeah? Allie, can you hear me? Who is the best bass player you've ever heard? You've said it a lot. Who? You. She said you. That means me. There are a lot of things here on my channel, the Rhyme Key Rhyme Tribe. A lot of insight. A lot of wisdom, if you want to call it that. A lot of obscure and important information. You want it in a different form? Visit Tone Freak Bass Experience and listen. Right? Visit the channel. Give it some viewership. Make some comments. In almost every case, every upload there on that channel, I think you'll hear things that you've never heard before. Some of it's eerie. Some of it's mystical. Some of it's wild. Some of it sounds like cosmic cataclysms. Some of it sounds like it's underwater, deep sea. I recommend to get started there on that channel, you listen to the piece called Rite of Passage. Consider it your rite of passage into the wonderful world of bass sound architecture. Nothing demonic now, mind you. I didn't sell my soul to anybody. Go visit it. Have a listen. Experience something new. By the way, there are two basses used. An old Ibanez and an old Alembic Orion. Alembic, Alembic. Look it up, alembic.com. They handcraft all their basses. They are the finest in the world. And mine happens to sound, I think, better than any other Alembic I've ever heard demonstrated. It doesn't play nicely with others. All the electronics that I use are analog. I have tube amps. I have handmade, acoustically perfect, engineered speaker cabinets. It's all organic sounding. I'm a tone freak. I'm after the sound, the tone, the timbre, the nuances, the little things that add up to the big things. And it all is very meaningful to me. All of it. Maybe it'll mean something to you. Tone freak bass experience. Nothing magical about it other than the magic of sound, vibration, primal and primitive. Like this video, give it a thumb up. Didn't like it, give it one anyway. Give it one right now if you didn't give it earlier, just to punish yourself for having ignored it earlier. Share the joy of this channel with others. Subscribe, get notified. Thanks for selecting this video. I'm Turk Strongman at the Ron Q Ramacharaka and at Tone Freak Bass Experience. Be well.